What's going on, guys? Alex here with 814 EDC, and today I'm ready to do my full review on the QSP Knives Canary. So now, most of you probably know the Canary is based off of a fixed blade that they had come out, I think, last year, and it was very, very popular, and they designed it and turned it into a folder. Now, I got this specific folder slash model for Christmas this past year. My mother and father-in-law got it for me, so shout out to Todd and Kim. Thank you, guys. And honestly, this is for the price that this thing comes in at, it is just really, really good. It has honestly exceeded my expectations, coming into it. Like, it's a $40 knife on White Mountain Knives, so, we'll obviously talk about price point and value and things like that. But honestly, I think, for everything combined, like, it's a good deal. I forgot to get my little paper down here for my review. So let me jot some stuff down first. Camera might shake real quick. All right, so there we go. Yeah, on White Mountain Knives, which I will leave a link to in the description down below if you guys are interested to, go look at the Canary. This specific model on White Mountain Knives is sold out, but there are, gazillions of colors. I think every color has a blackened blade and a stonewash blade, or satin, one of the two. But you have white G10, you have blue G10, you have neon green G10, you have Ultim, which is really cool, black G10, orange G10. Did I say blue? Yeah, blue, jade, purple, OD green, pink. Like, there's a lot of different options out there for basically anybody's taste can be hit with this knife. The first list or first category on my list is materials. And, I like to base that off of, price point for the materials and things of that nature. So, you're getting 14C 28N on the blade steel, just a beautiful, very simple drop point blade, white G10, QSPs, pretty simple loop over style deep carry clip that seats into the scales. You can switch it over for a lefty carry. Has a filler plate right there. QSP on the logo. Just a nice and thin knife, pretty small. Of course, it's a liner lock with plenty of lock bar access. So honestly, I have to give materials a 5 out of 5. There's nothing more for this price range, I think, that you really can ask for. G10 is nice. Has really good feeling to it. This is my first knife with G10, with white G10, I believe. So this is my first Stormtrooper knife, so I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, I have to give it a 5 out of 5. It just, for the price and everything you're getting, it's really hard to beat in my personal opinion. But next up is aesthetic. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of speed holes. I can kind of give or take on a knife. They aren't exactly like my cup of tea, but I think on this one they look good. Now, could I go without them and just have a full slab of G10? Absolutely, but I think the speed holes on both the show scale side and the liner lock side, they obviously add a little bit of weight reduction too, which is helping keep the weight down and make this an even better all-around EDC knife, in my opinion. It's a very simple drop point, like I said, just clean lines, simple lines. So overall, I have to give it probably I'm gonna give it a 4.5. It's not the best knife I've ever handled before or, looked at before, but I think for what you're getting it, at, and, if again, it's just simple stuff. And you guys know that I tend to really enjoy simple lines on knives, just easy stuff to look at. And this is definitely in that category. So, but next up, we're going to talk about action. And the action on this is snappy as hell. The detent is really nice. You guys can hear it snapping back into place right there. Dual thumb studs for deployment. So very snappy on the thumb flick. Just rockets out of there consistently. Now, when I did get this from factory, there was a ton of, oil and lube on it. And the action was kind of gritty and it had lock stick real bad. But you guys can see, I barely have to move my thumb out of the way, or barely move my thumb to get the liner lock out of the way. I took it apart, cleaned it up, added some KPL, and have it all tightened back up with some thread locker. No blade play at all. You're getting very snappy middle finger flick action. Thumb flick action just, again, fires out of there. You can use your index finger, your pointer finger. You can slow roll it, of course. But, you know, I tend to prefer middle finger flick over thumb flick 99.9% of the times. But this might be that one small time that I prefer the thumb flick. Just the way, you know, the thumb studs are placed and the way you just get behind it and it just pops right out of there. It's really good. It's probably one of the better thumb stud actions I've felt in a while. And that's not to say that middle finger flick action is bad, because it's also very, very good as well. But they're both just absurd. And for close, drops to your nail. Just from micro shakes in your close, drops to your nail. One big shake in your close. Try to break it. D10 ball. Just real smooth. And again, no blade play. Locked up, super duper tight. I fidget with this thing a ton. It gets a lot of pocket time, both in just my sweatpants like I'm in today, around the house, and, you know, out and about. It gets a lot of use and a lot of pocket time. So for the action, I have to give it a 5 out of 5. I think this knife's going to be pretty high up in my rankings so far, and that's crazy for what the price costs on, you know, a budget QSP model. So next up on the list is acoustics. Again, it's G10, so you're not going to get like the tings and the dings and things like that. But honestly, has a nice snap on the way out, nice snap on the close. For being G10, and, you know, G10 kind of dulls the sounds, you know, G10 and micarta do, as compared to like aluminum or, you know, titanium. All things considered, I think it's very, very good. I'm going to give this a 4. Now, the acoustics is definitely kind of my hit or miss, you know, section or, you know, categories. During my reviews, they tend to kind of bring the score down a little bit, but I think a 4 is fair. You know, for again, for what it is, for the materials you're considering here, I think it's, you know, pretty acoustic sounding to me. But after acoustics, we have ergos. And actually, I forgot to give you guys some stats, so I do apologize about that. Let me look here. That's my fault. So overall length is 6.58 inches, closed length of 3.74, blade length of 2.84, blade thickness of 0.118 inches. Of course, it's a you know, plain edge, flat grind, comes onto a thin edge, and it comes in at 2.64 ounces. So very, very lightweight. I apologize for not giving those to you guys earlier. Got to get back into the swing of things with my reviews, because last week was just, I did an unboxing video and I did the, my true everyday carry knife video about the bug out. So I do apologize about that. But ergos, for it being a small knife, I can get all 4 fingers on here. Now, I'm a little bit squished, just a tiny bit, but not bad. I mean, not to the point where I'm uncomfortable with things. This is still pretty dang comfortable. Just maybe a little bit swished if you were going to be using this over a long stretch of time. Your hand might get a little bit tired, get a little bit, you know, sort of overwhelmed for being in that position. But you have a nice little groove right here, kind of a hump right here, another groove up top. It's straight. I mean, again, it's a very simple looking knife, but I can get all 4 fingers on here. You do have some jimping right there on the liner locks. That is a nice little grip strengthener, I guess, when you're holding on here. Your thumb can either land here, can land here. Sometimes it can land all the way out here if you're doing some really nice like push cuts through cardboard. This gives you a lot of tip strength and a lot of maneuverability of, you know, how you're cutting things around. Pinch grip works really well. Now it's a drop point, so it's not like a Warncliffe or, you know, a sheep's foot to where it's going to be super easy to like cut labels. Kind of have to pop the whole way up here, but it's doable and it's nice for like piercing Amazon packages and tape labels and things like that. G10 has a really nice texture to it. It's not overly smooth, but it's not like super duper, you know, sandpaper grippy to where it's going to eat your hands and your pockets up. You know, pot clip is a loop over style deep carry clip, so you're going to have a little bit of clearance right there. And yes, you can feel it, but again, similar to how, you know, you feel squished a little bit, but it's not enough to bother you. That's how I feel the same way with the pot clip. It's not really, I mean, can you feel it? Yes, but unless you are like squeezing this with your absolute, most amount of strength you can, it's not really causing much of a hot spot. And you can definitely, some people might have smaller hands, so it might not bother them as much. You can kind of choke up here on the guard area. You can kind of wrap your thumb or your pointer finger around here. Then you move up even more off the puck clip. I would recommend using this if you're doing something very, very specific and you're being very careful with what you're cutting through and around. And as long as you're, cautious of the blade edge being right there. So that's, a decision if you guys want to make that yourself. But, for ergos, for again, how small the knife is, for all things considered, which I've said that like 6 times in this review, so I apologize. I'm going to give this a 4.5 just because it's very good. But I just don't want to give it a 5 because, the small little nitpicks are present, but they're not enough to me. They're there for me not to give it a 5, but they're not present enough for me to knock it even more, if that makes sense to you guys. Next up is carry. This is already going to get a 5 out of 5. I've carried this a ton, with the deep carry clip. It goes pretty much past the butt of the knife, so this thing sits way deep down in your pocket. There's no flipper tab, no jimping, no sharp edges. It's all nicely rounded and contoured in different areas. So if you're happening to go down by it in your pocket for change, chapstick, medication, things of that nature, you don't really have any risk or much risk at all of when you go down and grab it, when you come up out of the pocket to pull this up out with it. I've carried this, like I said, in gym shorts and sweatpants around the house. I've carried this in jeans primarily when we're out of the house, and it carries well. It's lightweight. Again, it's like 2.64 ounces. Total length is like 6.5 inches close. So, I mean, this thing almost fits completely into my hand. It's just small, unobtrusive, lightweight. So I have to give it a 5. There's nothing I can complain about in that department when it comes to, nitpicks and things of that nature. Now, we're going to talk about price point and what I recommend this knife. It's my final category of my reviews. And I think, for 41, let's see here, they're $41.95. So $42 from White Mountain Knives. You can also get them at, other retailers. You can get them at QSP. You can get them at Blade HQ. I've seen them on Amazon. I just like using White Mountain Knives because you get that extra discount code. And if you use someone's discount code like Lefty10, use your favorite YouTuber's code. Basically, there's a ton of them out there. You can get 10% off, and that basically saves you like $4 or $5, something like that. But it drops you below $40, and I think that this is arguably the best sub $40 knife. Oh, Siri's listening on to me. But I think this is arguably the best sub $40 knife out there you can buy. It's not going to be everyone's cup of tea because of the size and things like that. But again, super unobtrusive design, very simple, very clean. Just a beautiful blade shape, nice simple drop point with plenty of belly, thin edge, great materials. 14C is a fantastic steel for that price range. A lot of times you're getting D2 in, the $30 range or worse. 14C with G10, reversible deep carry clip, great action, great carry. For the value, I'm going to have to give it another 5 out of 5. I just really think that it's there. I mean, again, use someone's code, knocks it down to $38, somewhere in that nature. And I think that is just a really, really good value. So I'm going to make sure I have all my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. What did I miss? Got materials. I got aesthetic. I got action. I got acoustics. Oh. Huh. I guess it would help if you put down the last one that I talked about. So I apologize about that, guys. But I'm going to add this up real quick. Alrighty, so 1, 2, yeah, that makes sense. All right, so I have this coming in at 32.5 points on my category scale. That puts it right in the fantastic category. So it's actually joining the Devo Knives Nip as the only two in that so far. So given that I have reviewed what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 knives, this being the 6th knife in 2024 so far, that makes it my second highest rating. And I think it's going to stay up pretty high at the end of the year. Again, for the price, for everything considered, this is one of my favorite budget knives that I've ever handled. I think that they would do really good by making like an XL version of this for guys that don't prefer, smaller knives. You can make like a 3.25 inch blade, and I think that would be really good. I think a premium version of this with like M390 or 20 CV with a like milled titanium scale, milled clip, that would be awesome, with like a bolster lock for like $200. I would probably buy one of those. There's a lot of different, avenues you can go from this. You guys have already seen, they took the fixed blade version, the original version, and then made this. So, why can't you make a premium version? Why can't you make an XL version? Things of that nature. So I'm hoping QSP sees reviews like this and they consider, doing things like that with their upcoming models, because I think it would be just a really, really good deal and a really good model. So 32.5, again, that lands in the fantastic category. We have yet to have a perfect knife yet, but it's coming. I'm curious to see which one's going to be the first one that we break into there. But yeah, guys, this was my full review of the QSP Knives Canary. Honestly, just a really good EDC knife. Again, shout out to my in-laws for gifting me this for Christmas. I love it. Fantastic. Gets into that little Star Wars inner nerd of me with the Stormtroopers. So that's always cool. It's my first first knife model with the Stormtrooper configuration. So I just really enjoy it. So again, it'll be linked down below in the description if you guys are interested, which I think you should be. I think everyone should check out the Canary and possibly have one in their collection. It's too cheap not to. So, but leave a comment down below. What are your guys' thoughts on QSP as a company? And what are your guys' thoughts on the Canary? Do you have one? Do you want one? Did you have one and didn't like one? Because if you did, I would love to hear why. But so I'm going to talk to you guys in the next one. Thank you guys again so much for watching. I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you guys. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your morning, evening, day, night, whenever you're watching this. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.